G'day guys, what's going on? Welcome to this episode of Pete versus Plants. I am Pete, and today the plants are cuttings in my Aeroponics clone station. Now, it's been about 2 months, maybe a little under 2 months since I put these guys in here, and they have gone absolutely insane. We have just moved houses, and I brought these guys over and have just sort of had them in my office under a table going at it. And I'm just having a look. I can see some rot here, unfortunately, of some of these leaves. I'll have to get in there and deal with it. Ugh, gross. But yeah, they've been going bananas. They've been going off. And I thought it's probably time to deal with these guys, and I'll show you why. I haven't opened this up yet. It's been a week or two, but I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of root pawnage. There we go. Look at that. Woo! Look at that! My God, guys. 2 months! Some of these have only been in here for a few weeks, actually. Man, that is astonishing. I'll see if I can lift this up and show you guys everything in there. But isn't that just ridiculous? Now, the reason I wanted to show you this now, obviously besides wanting to make content and pot these things up, was that the Brantianums, this was the original test that I wanted to do. I've got like 12 Brantianums along here, right? Philodendron Brantianums. And weirdly enough, 6 of them have gone ballistic. They've gone nuts, they've gone off. And the other 6 have done nothing inside the clone station. For comparison, I had another 12 cuttings here that I just left in water and put on a shelf under a grow light. So they're effectively in the same conditions, but the ones in the clone station were under a dome in effectively 100% humidity, and they were obviously getting the aeroponics treatment below, where you've got a much higher ratio of oxygen and water. You've got little sprinklers in there, right? I'm not sure if you can see those little red sprinklers. They're shooting water out when this thing is turned on. And there's also a water reservoir that some of these roots are now getting into. You can probably see it there dripping. But the only real difference is that 100% humidity around the top of the leaves, and the mist that is being sprayed at the roots from below, and the fact that they're getting access to a lot more oxygen as a result of being suspended in the air. These ones I just put in water, and there's your result. Very, 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 very little has happened. There are some sort of little buds. I'm not sure if you can see right there. There is, the very beginnings of a root system coming out. But this is after 2 months of leaving these guys in water. And you can see that absolutely none of them have anything resembling the 6 that have actually rooted really well under here. So I'm not sure if you can see, but the top 12, the 2 rows at the top here, it's probably sort of hard to show you, the Brantianums. Some of them, these are the roots of some of them. So aeroponics, guys, I'm still so astonished that more people on YouTube, at least, more creators, aren't using an aeroponics system for propagation. It is so easy. It's so set and forget. It does require a bit more of an investment than just having a jar with some water, but the results seem to be speaking for themselves. So I actually went out and bought another one the other day that is, instead of a 24 slot one now, it is a 48 slot one. So I have a total of, 72? Hopefully my maths is right. Awful at maths. I have 72 slots, and I'm going to start pumping through things. The other thing to mention here, I guess we will get to it, but I had some variegated Adansonii that I had put into moss and was trying to root those, and I made the moss a little too damp, and the roots ended up rotting off. So what I did was put them into here probably about 3 weeks ago, and I've just noticed that, yeah, they have shot out roots as well. Funnily enough, this one has shot a root out from above the plastic here, or the rubber, and pushed it below into the misting dome. And this one, whoa. So that's only a few weeks. That's literally only a few weeks. I am so impressed. So anyway, let's start by potting up these Brantianums. I don't know what I'm going to do with these ones in the jar. Like, the leaves are all still looking pretty healthy. So I think I might just leave these to go and see how they go, because yeah, I don't want to kill them. I don't want to throw them away, but I also kind of don't want to put them into the system here now when I clear it out, because I want to start putting in plants that I want to sell. So anyway, I guess what we can do is I might put some paper toweling down just to make sure the water doesn't go everywhere. And I'll start taking out the Brantianums, and we can pot up a little Brantianum bundle, I guess. So yeah, interestingly, this one has done nothing the entire time under the same conditions as these other ones. So it always boggles my mind when you kind of see some cuttings going off and others not, especially when they stay healthy looking. You kind of like, you've had 2 months in an aeroponic system. What gives? What gives? What more do you want? What more do you want? All right, so I'm just going to chuck him into the jar with these other ones, and yeah, deal with you later. I'm just going to keep pulling these out. Similar one here, it's done nothing, so again, into the jar with you. I think it's going to be the same for a few of these down this end. Oh, nope, that one's looking pretty good. So yeah, it is really funny, isn't it? This one was sitting right next to those other two, and it's much smaller, and yet it has, you know, roots that are coming off, bifurcating off that main taproot that's come down. So yeah, interesting. I'm still learning, I guess, as I go. Ooh, has this, oh wow, okay. Look at this. This cutting has shot out a shoot, but because it hasn't been exposed to light, it's been in darkness the whole time. Big surprise, it's white. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes now that I plant it up. If it will suddenly turn green, if it'll start developing chlorophyll. It looks like the leaf right at the end here has rotted. So yeah, or else maybe it'll just shoot out another leaf coming off it. Let's keep going. Okay, yeah, this one's done nothing. So I'm going to take him out, chuck him in the jar. I don't know what else there is you can really do. If they don't kind of set out roots in the aeroponic system, it kind of suggests now to me, with my sort of confidence in it, that perhaps nothing is going to do it, and it's just that cutting was doomed from the beginning for whatever reason. I assume it's something to do with the hormones that are inside the cutting. Oh, another one that has shot out a shoot that is white. There we go. Look at that, it's even pushing out a second leaf. Again, it's got some good roots. So it's going to be interesting. I guess that could be a potential problem that comes up, where you have to be careful about when they start pushing out shoots, or else if they end up in darkness the entire time, they're going to be white like this with no chlorophyll. And I'll have to look more into the biology of why that is. Like, I wonder why the plant doesn't just say, just produce chlorophyll either way. I guess it potentially needs to be stimulated by sunlight or UV or something. Same thing there. It looks almost like a little egret or some kind of a bird, right? A heron with the beak. But it's so interesting. Look at that. Tiny, tiny amounts of roots, but it has this nice shoot. Some of these other ones have shoots, but they have significant roots. Significant roots with shoots. Oh my God. Yeah, that has blown my mind. I'm so impressed that any of these Brantianum cuttings gave me roots like this. Like, not what I was expecting. Not what I was expecting at all. And I am sort of debating in my head as we go here, guys, about what medium to chuck these guys in. Wow, another Brantianum cutting. Because these guys have been in water, perhaps they'll adapt best if we just chuck them straight into hydro instead of putting them into soil. That might sort of shock them quite a bit. Oh wow, this one has shot out a, yeah, look at that. Big growth point. And there's roots coming off the growth point's first node, and barely any roots down the bottom here. So these ones, it might be a bit early to pot them up, but I kind of just want them out of this so I can use it for something else. I'm not too phased. And I think, is this the most developed one? Holy moly, look at that. Amazing. And it's only just starting to shoot out the growth point. Yeah, so I might put these into hydroponics. I'll have to find a cylinder or a vessel or something that's actually quite long, though, to deal with these roots. Although I imagine that if the last part of these roots have been sitting in water, they probably won't do too badly if they end up in the reservoir at the bottom of a semi-hydro setup. So I'm just going to have a quick look around, see if I can find something appropriate. Looking, and I will be back. Perfect. All right, I think I'm going to use this. How does that look? So what I need is some leca that I prepared earlier and some nutrient solution, and that's about all she needs, I guess. So we'll chuck some leca in the bottom of this jar, and sorry for the noise, it's going to be giving you a bit of a tinkle. It's almost like you're dropping lollies or something in a jar, or coins. Okay, so that's probably enough at the bottom there. The only thing I am sort of worried about, and I guess we'll just see how it goes, is the cuttings like this with really small roots compared to something like that. I don't know how they're going to go. I can probably sink this one down a little more because the shoot here is already coming up. So as long as that shoot is kind of above the leca, it probably won't get too stuck, because that's the only thing you'd be worried about. But yeah, all right. So I'm just going to get these ones with the longest roots first and bundle them together. I'm not really sure how much I need to spread these guys out. Again, if you guys have advice, let me know. Should you be trying to spread these out evenly, or is it just chuck them in and they'll sort of, grow and do their thing? I'm not really worried about making these guys grow vertically. I'd rather sort of just have them kind of bush out and maybe trail. I had these on a pole and they didn't really size up, so I kind of got over it. Okay. So here we go. I'm just going to grab them in a little fistful, and sink them down into the vessel and chuck some leca in. This is where you need another person, I swear, guys. Some easier way of doing this, especially when you're holding a whole bunch of cuttings. I feel like they're going to fall out of my hand if I move too much. All right. Come on, in the jar. Yep, on the floor. To keep track of those, I have a feeling my kids are going to be running around later and being like, oh, look at all the chocolate. Look at all the really hard chocolate. Ah, my teeth. All right, come on. Maybe I'll hang you guys over the edge now, like so. And one of the shoots has sort of gotten below the rim of the jar here, and I want to just make sure that it is out and able to grow upwards. There we go. Okay. I think we're all good, guys. So as you can see, there are significant long roots going down there, and then there are some sort of tiddlers up the top here around the outside. So I'll probably fill the jar up to maybe about here, seeing as the tips of these roots were already in water inside of the clone station here, and hopefully they do well. I guess I will keep you guys updated. So I've got my hydroponic solution here. This is, there we go, just about there. That should be good. And I guess we're done, and we'll see how we go. And it'll be interesting watching that and seeing if these guys actually end up behaving themselves and rooting or what. But I don't really have high hopes for them, guys, to be honest. I don't think they're going to do much. If I really wanted, I guess I could chuck them into here to get them to all root, but I have a feeling that probably only half of them would, and yeah, I don't really need too many more Brantianums. So anyway, let's get on to the next plant. Once I've found the leca that's on the ground down here. Brantianums out of the way. So I put some Gigas in here too. Gigas. And it was a similar story to the Adansonii, where I had put them into moss and I was trying to encourage them to grow, and they just didn't for ages. The roots were rotting away. The interesting thing is, I put them in here and they've gone off. They have gone absolutely bananas, guys. Let me just get this solution out of the way. I'm so amazed at how quickly these guys went off, and I don't even know if I'll be able to pull them out. So there are two cuttings here, and they're actually quite thick. But, oh, look at that. There you go, there's one. And initially it had roots sort of like this, only a few weeks ago, but they had all rotted off because obviously the moss was kept too moist. So again, I'm sort of nervous about potting them up, but I want to get them out and do something with them. I think if we chuck them into leca again, they're probably going to be fine. That or soil. We could do soil too, but I found Gigas, yeah, it's such a pain in the ass plant for me at least. It seems to grow so slowly. And considering the roots have just gone absolutely wacko in the machine here in the clone station, I think I might chuck them into semi-hydro as well, like so, in a jar, and just keep an eye on it and see how it goes in leca. So again, I'm going to go find a vessel. I'm trying to think, do I have one here right behind me, or should I find another one? I'll go have a look in the office. Back in a tick. All right, so I've got a bunch here. The only annoying thing I've noticed is that this one I have peeled the label off, but it is very sticky. So yeah, I don't know if leaves are going to stick to that or not. I probably should just get a solvent or something at some point and wash it off before putting plants in it. But that is the perfect size, I think, for these guys. Maybe I'll just do it and I'll find a solvent and work it out later. Yeah, we'll do it. Because I think these are going to be, yeah, look at that, perfect. Absolutely perfect in terms of size. All right, so I'll pull this out and I will chuck a little reservoir down the bottom. Should be enough, maybe a little bit more in there. Chuck these guys over the top. And I'm so glad that I've been able to save these. I've had them for months, to be honest. So I'm glad, and I might get them to face the same way just to save on space so I can just direct them towards the light. Yeah, I have had them for months, and so I'm really glad to be finally getting them to root and take off, hopefully. But yeah, I found Gigas to be such a pain in the butt. It's sort of similar to melanochrysum. I've got some growing up a pole, one of my moss poles behind me there near the window. And it's just so slow. And a few times I've accidentally broken off the growing tip, you know, or it's you know, rotted or whatever. And it just takes so long for it to grow back. And, you know, it could be that it's just the conditions. In fact, it almost certainly is the conditions that I've got it under. But I've heard other people have the same problem. So if you guys are experts with Gigas and know what the plant wants, please let me know so that I can rejoice and live a happy Gigas lush life with it just taking off in my house. Because yeah, it does definitely look sexy as when you get it big. Okay, I think we're good. So there we go. Hopefully, it's going to be able to handle the humidity that I've got here. We're at about 64% by the looks of it. And yeah, it's one of those things, I'm not sure whether it's the humidity in the dome in the clone station that's really helping these plants take off, you know, if it's allowing them to hold onto their leaves. I haven't seen many leaves rot off. Some of them rot for some reason, one reason or another, right? There was one that I took off earlier. But the other leaves all look amazing and seem to really obviously stay hydrated, you would imagine, right? You've got high humidity inside that dome. So I'm not sure if it's that's really helping the cuttings survive and take off and then develop a root system, or if it's the aeroponics, that ratio of oxygen and water below that's really helping. All right, so now I think I might chuck my variegated Adansonii in a jar as well. I'm just gonna think, maybe this one will do. So I'll take it out. Could be a little bit early. I could leave these in for longer, but I think they're gonna survive just fine inside this jar. So yeah, I don't know. This one's probably really early, although I could sink it down to that second node. It does look like the leaf that was coming out has rotted off in the sheath, which is no sort of surprise when you take things as cuttings just as the leaf is trying to come out. The plant sort of aborts it usually. Maybe I will leave these for a little longer. How's this one going? Yeah, same story here. I might leave these go for a few more weeks because then I'll definitely have some better chances of them surviving and going bananas. So I might actually leave these guys in there. Sorry for the false alarm, dudes. Put this one back in there too. I'm so impressed with that one. That's amazing. Just how much it went bananas. All right, what else have we got here? We've got some skeleton key. I've got 3 of those. So here's one. And again, I guess I'll grab some paper towel to chuck these guys on to try and not wet the place up too much. Oh wow, okay. So there's a root that has grown from the top here above this, and then it's gone all the way around this little rubber seal. So yeah, that's incredible. It's actually grown far out. It's grown into it. I'm gonna have to be really gentle here because I don't want to wreck it. Wow, it grew into the rubber. Impressive. It was really gripping on there, guys. Look at that. So there are 4 points that roots have come out, 3 of which were above the plastic top here. Whoop. Sorry, I just realized that I sat the plastic top over some roots from another cutting. All right, so I'm going to try and get that. Stop poking up, root. I don't want you to get destroyed. These 2 other cuttings out. Same thing here. That's looking grouse. And same thing here, look at that. And then that root from the top again has grown all the way around the plastic or the rubber thing, and it's gripped onto it. You can see it's really grown along it. Okay, gently, gently. There we go. That's crazy, guys. It's absolutely bonkers. Can't believe how well these epipremnum cuttings have taken. That's just nuts. So, and you know what? I can probably give this one the snip. Could probably do it with a few of them, to be honest. Yeah, I might actually do that. I'm going to get some scissors. I had actually been thinking about this a while ago. I'm like, another good use of this to get twice as many cuttings out of the clone station. You can probably take multiple noded cuttings and put one node below the plastic top here and one above, and you'll have roots come out of the top one as well as the bottom one. And then when you're ready to pot them up, you just give them a chop and you've got rooted cutting at the bottom and rooted cutting at the top. So now I've gone from 3 cuttings to 4, 5, 6 cuttings, and you could potentially do even more considering, you know, the nodes up here are also rooted. So how crazy is that, guys? All right, so I'm just going to do the same thing. We'll chuck these ones in leca. Definitely getting my leca on recently. Nora from the Leca Queen would be happy. Go check her channel out on YouTube if you haven't. I've given her a shout out a few times. She's amazing. She lives nearby in Melbourne, and yeah, is always great for giving me advice when I need help with my my leca, what would you call it, skills, non-existent skills. Okay, so I'm just going to bunch these guys together dirtily, hastily like this, and I haven't really let them callus over or anything like that. I'm not really too phased. I just want to sort of see how they go. So I'm just going to pot them all in here. Hopefully they all can fit without causing me too much of a headache. And then chuck the rest of the leca in. Whoop, loosen it again. Just trying to push one of these cuttings down so that the roots definitely get submerged in the leca as they're a bit high, but should be all good. Okay, this one's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Usually I don't really like jars that kind of close in at the top, but beggars can't be choosers. It's here, we'll use it. And again, I'm going to probably chuck the water up a little bit past the roots because these really long roots were definitely submerged in the water reservoir inside the clone station. So they should be all good if they get submerged a little bit here. So there you go, guys, a bit more than a third, maybe 2/5 of the way up. And again, I will let you know how that goes. All right, so we're doing well. We've got a nice tiny little harvest here. I might actually need some more leca. I think I'm running out. But what's left is a bunch of Adansonii. And yeah, I guess I'll prepare the table first. We've got some monkey mask, and I think we just have some standard Adansonii, var Adansonii. Whoa, holy moly! Look at that! Isn't that just ridiculous? Like, how have you gone so bananas? It's just shouldn't be legal. What am I going to do with you? And I think this one is just the standard Adansonii var laniata. I think, no, what am I doing? It's Adansonii var Adansonii. It's not the laniata one. So yeah, and it's funny how it's put so much energy into roots and still has no growth point. So I don't know how these plants end up choosing what to do with what, but yeah, impressive. Trying to work out, there's one here that is rotted. Oh, this was actually a variegated one, and it survived, far out. So the leaf rotted off it, and there's a bit of mold on it, so I'm just going to get rid of that. But there is a spike growing out, so I guess I will just leave this chunk to do its thing, because it seems to have survived. So I think this is just, yeah, the standard Adansonii. What do I want to do with this guy? I don't really need just one cutting in some leca. You know, I feel like that's a bit overkill. So I think I might just pot it up with some other Adansonii that I have. And I'm just trying to think if I have some of this one in leca. I don't think I do, guys. So I might have to chuck it in some soil. One sec. So I think I have here some Adansonii var Adansonii. And I think that's what this is. I think the problem that I'm going to end up having a lot of the time doing this and not labeling things correctly is that I'm going to end up potting things together that aren't the same. But I guess that's just life. So I think I'm just going to pot this guy up with these guys in here to just save on space. I'm going to need something to be able to deal with the soil to not make too much of a mess. I'm still just absolutely in awe of these roots. Like, look at it. It's like a sort of inverse Christmas tree. Like, it's just nuts how they've come out shorter and shorter and shorter along this. It's just amazing. I would love all of them inside this machine to do this. That would just be incredible. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of pull these guys out. I potted them up a little while ago. These are just some cuttings as well. In fact, I may have taken them out of this. I can't even remember, to be honest. I've had these sort of cuttings all over the place. And this looks like it was recently watered. Looking at the roots, they look like they're in sphagnum moss prior to this, because there is a bit of moss on the roots. So perhaps they weren't in this. Perhaps they weren't in the clone station. But yeah, even look at that. Look at how much further, how much more developed these roots are than the ones that I have here in soil. So I guess I'm going to put some soil in the bottom here. Fill it up a little bit, and then maybe wind this guy around a few times and stick him inside the pot here, and just make sure that these roots get submerged nicely and that the top of the cutting, the node, is above the soil so that the growth point can come out when it is good and ready. But yeah, man. Get a clone station, guys. Invest in one. I got this one for, I think it was about $100 Australian. So, you know, that's probably about $60 American. If you want, you can make your own. I'm sort of too lazy to kind of spend all that time saving money, trying to work it out myself, how to like properly do it. So I just kind of went, you know, I'm just going to buy one. It's much easier for me. But if you're much more sort of, what would you say, hands-on inclined and you know what you're doing, I definitely recommend just going to a hardware store, getting some equipment and putting one together yourself, because yeah, they're not the most complicated things in the world to make. So yeah, all right, there we go. We've chucked the cutting in there. You can see him hanging over here, and we'll keep an eye on him and see how he goes in the future. All right, just let me clean up some of the mess here, and then we'll get on to the last batch, which is Adansonii monkey mask. Now, I think I have some here that I think I put these in water and we were comparing them to the ones that I had in the clone station here. And these ones obviously took off. Usually Adansonii is pretty nuts in terms of like root development in water, in pretty much any medium. I think it goes bananas. So I've got 3 of them in here, and there are 3 here. Might be just 2, not sure. Yeah, the other ones are variegated ones, I think. I'm not sure about this chunk, if this is variegated or not. Yeah, it looks variegated. So I'll take out these 2, and I'm not sure if they'll fit in this vessel. It might be a bit of a tight squeeze, so I might have to go get a different one. Let me just grab these guys out. And again, talk about really well developed roots. Wow. Hopefully I didn't just destroy it. Look at that. Looking good. All right, so that's monkey mask number 1. And then I think this is probably going to be the best one out of the entire box, guys. You know what? I think it's going to be easier to actually go down with the leaf than it is to go up with these roots. So I'm just going to go down like so. Wow, look at that. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Isn't it crazy? All right. I'm just looking at these guys. I'm curious to know why the tips of these roots are brown. I don't know if that's a bad sign, if that means that they're rotting, or if that's just the colour that these ones are. But the longer ones that look like they were actually submerged in water seem to have yellow tips, so they're at least really healthy. Yeah, so I guess I'll get another vessel. We'll take these guys out and then we'll just combine them all. So we'll use another big jar like this. I get these from Kmart. I think they were like a pack of 6, maybe 3 for about $6. So yeah, they work out to like $1 or $2 each. Can't remember the price, but yeah, if you're in Australia, just go to Kmart and look for cheap jars, because they usually have, boxes of them that you can buy all together, and you save a bunch of money. So I'm just going to get some more leca as we are running low. So I've grabbed some more leca, given it a bit of a rinse. I think I might just pour this all into the leca bucket here. There we go. These guys have been growing well. Oh no, we lost a root. Root tip, no! Where did you come off? Bugger. Don't know. Can't see where you've come off, mate. That's a tragedy. Must have come off the actual node. And we have this guy floating around, so hopefully we can make him work. So we'll see how we go. It might be a bit dry at the top there and he may not be able to grow properly. So what are we doing? We'll chuck these guys down. Fill up the reservoir. Bundle these guys together, trying to make sure that the nodes are all sort of at the same height or depth. I guess it's all relative. And squeeze them in here. In you go, guys. Come on. Oh, tight squeeze. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put them about the height of this rim here. And then go through this process again, squeezing all the leca in and hopefully not damaging the roots. It's going everywhere. All right, that's that side done. I guess we'll sneak this guy in here somewhere and see if we can make sure he survives, but I don't have high hopes. Whoa, that was a shit idea. Why did you do that, Pete? Good luck to you, buddy. Okay, so give it a bit of a schmacko. Needs a few more. Boom! And I guess we'll see how we go. Same thing again, I'm going to fill up to a little bit above where the roots are, because the ones that are longest and furthest down were in the reservoir. Maybe even a little bit more. There we go. Bang. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know if you have any experience with aeroponic systems like this. If you don't, I really, really recommend that you go grab one and give it a go. Tell me what you're going to put in it and then show me the results. Send me a message on Instagram, which will be linked down in the description. Give me a follow and yeah, send me a message and some photos of anything that you have in aeroponics or that you're going to chuck in there. And in the meantime, YouTube reckons you're going to enjoy this video, so I will see you there. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.